gram. Unstoppable, always going ham. Sure thing like Texas from Uncle Sam. Try to cover him and make it look like a sham.
And now it's time for another edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. With your hosts, the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice. This is the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, and welcome one and all to episode 303, the March Madness 2015 edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. The show made up of Seahawk fans from around the world, just like you, talking about your Seattle Seahawks. Over the next few moments we share together, we hope you are entertained and enlightened as we discuss your NFC champion Seattle Seahawks. So sit back, relax, grab a desired beverage or sin of your choice, and remember, brackets are made for busting. As is the usual with every show, we are not alone. No, I am joined like I am every episode by the 12th Man Fan Jam Posse, a ragtag group of diehard Seahawk fans from around the world. First, there is my partner in crime, yes, the yin to my yang. He is always busting our brackets from good old merry old England. It is none other than Matt.
Good morning, Moses. How are you?
Good, Matt. How you doing?
Yeah, well, I sort of bring some good news and some bad news.
No.
Yes,
What is the good news?
The good news is that we've got a load of new players coming up, and we've got a load of good stuff going on in the Seahawks at the moment, a load of good stuff going on at free agency.
Yes, we
it's
do.
All good news.
Yes, we do. We'll applaud that. What is the bad news?
We've got about 174 days till kickoff.
Ugh. Man, we don't like that.
Yes, just crabby.
Kids are not impressed. Kids are not impressed.
Good. Not happy.
No, not good. But we will carry on. We will wait those 174 days, and we'll help you get through those 174 days here on the 12th Man Fan Jam. Also from the state of Washington, our very own newshound. His 12th Man editorials can be found on the SeahawkSal.com website. He suffers from Midnight Madness. Great Night Ranger album, by the way. You know him as Shadowhawk. We know him as Will. Hi, Will.
Hey, Moses. How are you doing?
Oh, wonderful.
Well, I have not lost a single matchup on my bracket yet this year.
Well, good. Did you fill one out?
No.
Okay, there you go.
I figured I'd just cut out the middleman.
I haven't watched any college basketball. It's probably the best bracket I've ever done. Okay.
Well, Gonzaga game's coming up pretty quick. So.
That's true. Next from the state of California and just up the road from 49er headquarters, our own man behind enemy lines. He can't decide what's in worse shape, the 49ers or his bracket. You know him as Zora76. We know him as Statsman Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hey, everybody. Yes, the 49ers are having a yard sale up the street here of all the jerseys from their free agent losses for $4.99, and there's lots of Willises and Borlands and Cullivers and Parrish Coxes. Oh my! So for under $5, you can pick one of these up.
You know what the worst part about that is? I think he's serious. You're serious, aren't you?
Well, no, not really, but.
That wouldn't have surprised me in the least if that was actually happening. Also, from the state of Washington, he's a tailgating genius during Seahawk games, and he just has a little touch of madness. Another reference to Night Ranger. Please welcome Dustin.
Hey guys, glad to be back. I missed the last show or two. I'm just excited to be back doing this again.
We're excited to have you. Yeah, welcome back, Dustin. It's been a while. I'm glad you're here.
We got time you got here.
Yeah, full posse tonight. I just said we have a full posse tonight. That's not a good way to start the show. Okay,
It is Friday.
Woo! All right. Well, me and the full posse will continue. The intros have been made, so let's get at this. For those who've listened before, thank you for joining us again. And for those who are listening for the first time, don't worry. We promise we will be gentle, but be careful. The madness may overtake us all. The show is run just like a real NFL football game. We have 4 quarters and even a halftime. First quarter in this show, we're going to go with the news with Will. Our Shadowhawk knows the news, and he'll get us updated on some NFL news. Second quarter, we're going to talk about some of the Seahawk free agency losses, some players that or coaches that have left us and gone to other teams, and how that'll affect the team. At halftime, we have another rousing rendition of the 12th Man Fan Jam halftime trivia show, the Seahawk-based trivia game that you, the listener and viewer, can play along with as well. Can Shadowhawk Will defend his title from the last show? We all want to know that.
Probably not.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Start of the second half, third quarter, we have Seahawk additions, and there were a couple players that have joined the Seahawks in this free agency period, some by trade and some by free agency. And the fourth quarter, we're going to kind of overview the entire NFC West and see how the teams have changed since February 1st when the Super Bowl was played, and how things have changed, and the whole landscape of the NFC West has kind of been changed by the recent free agency frenzy. Also, we'll have short 60-second rants, not second 60 rants.
Easy for you to say.
Easy for me to say. We'll have short 60-second rants by Shadowhawk Will between first and second quarter, and Dustin between the third and fourth quarters. We'd also like to remind you before we start that we would like you to like, share, and subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Also easy for me to say. Or contact us on this thread.
It'll be one of those shows, guys.
It is. Here we go. Contact us on this thread or in the comment section of this video for feedback, or email us at 12thmanfanjam@gmail.com and tell us what you think, good or bad. We don't mind. I just got on spring break, so my mind left about 5 hours ago. We're also on Twitter at 12th Man Fan Jam and also at Seahawk Positivity. Please join our Facebook group, 12th Man Fan Jam Show. We have lots of Seahawk discussion and fun there. All of our shows and outtakes are there as well, and they're posted. A lot of other fun stuff. We have a lot of discussions that aren't on the show. Come on, join the fun. We're also on Twitter, as I mentioned, so let us know your thoughts there as well. Now let's get to the first quarter and news. Yes, news from around the NFL while you were out ripping up your NCAA tournament bracket. Here's our 12th Man Fan Jam newshound, Shadowhawk Will, with the news. What do you got for us, Will?
Well, Moses, it probably shouldn't be much of a surprise that the men running the Washington Redskins don't take all that kindly to criticism. But this latest move may be their lowest. On Monday, on ESPN 980, a radio station owned by Washington Redskins owner Daniel Snyder, there was supposed to be the debut of a show called The Man Cave, hosted by former Washington Post beat writer Jason Reed. That didn't happen. The show was actually canceled the day before, and after much speculation, it was determined that Redskins GM Bruce Allen was the driving force behind canceling the show before it even got started. There's really not much question as to why. Reed frequently took the Redskins to task in his columns for the Post. After they lost to the Giants and fell to 3-11, Reed wrote, "The good news is that their embarrassing season is almost finished. The bad news is that President and General Manager Bruce Allen remains on the job." After the season, Reed wrote that the team, quote, "will remain on the wrong path as long as Allen is in charge." Wow. So since the end of the season, they hired Reed to host a radio show and then fired him the day before it started. So things are pretty much going as usual in Washington.
Man Cave could be the name of another type of show. I'm just saying.
It could be, but I don't think that's quite what they were going for.
No, probably not. I don't know. Mark, would you ever host a show called Man Cave?
Oh, boy. Offhand, no.
There is actually a show called Man Caves that Tony Saragusa is a part of, where they go in and build man caves for guys.
Okay, Tony Saragusa and Man Cave are two things I'd never want to hear in the same sentence again.
It's on one of those networks like DIY or something like that. It's actually a decent show. They do some pretty cool things.
But you've got to admit that you got to kind of admit that Man Cave kind of sounds like a gay bar title, doesn't it?
Matt?
Oh, I was hoping you weren't going to ask me.
I didn't.
He's not going to come and ask me about this, is he? Because I don't really know what I want to say about this. I do know what I want to say about this. It's a terrible title for a television program.
It is.
It's an appalling title for a radio show. It's a terrible program for a television show. It's a bad film title. Maybe they could call themselves the Washington Man Cavers. I don't know. I have no idea.
The Spelunkers.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever. It's just not a good idea, gentlemen, to call yourself Man Cave. It just isn't.
I agree. I agree. I agree with that totally. Man cave, not a good idea. So don't ever call a show Man Cave. And
they could put it on the Hibernation Network because that's exactly what that franchise has done, right?
Oh! Oh my goodness!
So Moses, I take it you won't be changing the name of this show to Man Cave anytime soon?
The 12th Man Fan Jam Man Cave show will start next week.
He can hardly say 12th Man Fan Jam, let alone.
I know. Right now.
The extra difficulty.
You're lucky I can say anything right now, and I have not had a drop of liquor to drink. I want to make that perfectly honest. Not yet, anyway. Okay. On that note, Will, what else you got?
Well, Moses, I have a little bit of trivia for you, actually. Who said the following? Quote, "There's no question in my mind the emphasis we have on spousal abuse in the NFL and the lack of tolerance for it. It's intolerable and will be adjudicated accordingly."
You know, it pisses me off when you turn the tables on me, but I will answer this, and I will say...
Give him the organ.
Oh my God!
It's Man
Oh my
Cave.
God! I have to think about this. Hold on. Oh, you're a genius. Who said... Give me the quote again.
"There's no question in my mind the emphasis we have on spousal abuse in the NFL and the lack of tolerance for it. It's intolerable and will be adjudicated accordingly." Who said
45. That? No. Adrian Peterson.
Oh.
Close, but no cigar. That statement was made last year by Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, who just gave Greg Hardy a contract worth up to $13.1 million. But while Jones is happy with his acquisition, a lot of people in Dallas are not. For instance, WFAA sportscaster Dale Hansen. "Is there no crime you won't accept?" he said. "Greg Hardy's jersey is being sold at the Cowboys online pro shop now. You could get one for your sister or daughter and then explain to her that Hardy beats up women, but we're cheering him now because he's really good on game day, and game day is all that really matters to me." Your daughter won't understand. Even better, Dallas Mayor Mike Rawlings said the signing, quote, "As a Cowboys fan, this was a shot in the gut. I'm a big Cowboys fan. I love them to death, and I want them to beat the Eagles every time they play. But at some point, being a sports fan gets trumped by being a father, husband, wanting to do what's right for women, so this is not a good thing. I don't think I'm going to be buying Hardy jerseys anytime soon." So, in case you haven't guessed, I'm glad he did not sign here.
No
absolutely.
doubt. Woo. Were you, Dustin, what was your view on Hardy? Did you want him, or you were happy that didn't happen?
I was pretty happy it didn't happen, honestly. I mean, you got to like the talent on the field, but here's the thing that I really don't like about it. Like, people are upset about Michael Vick and going to their team, right? Michael Vick at least went to prison and paid for what he did. He owed a debt to society and to other people, and he paid that debt to society by going to prison, and then he started paying back financially the people he owed after he went to bankruptcy and handled all that. This guy paid a witness off, is what it sounds like, and got away with it. So I didn't want anything to do with him in Seattle. The whole thing, just stay in Dallas. That's fine. Go there. They enjoy the glory holes and whatever else is going on down there.
In the man caves.
Just to add that everything that Dustin's saying and anything on the 12th Man Fan Jam is allegedly, and at no point can you sue us.
Views and opinions expressed on the 12th Man Fan Jam are the responsibility of the individual contributors.
It is Dustin only. It's only Dustin that has that problem.
But I can say what I like, unless of course you want to extradite me to the United States of America.
In which case, please contact Dustin Knight because it's his fault. No.
I'll work on an accent, start using that, say I live somewhere else, and then I don't have to worry about it.
Do French.
Can't be worse than Dennis.
You can learn from me.
Yeah, he'd fit right in with the French if he'd learned from Dennis.
You know what? Now
the Moses School of Foreign Languages, right next to the Church of Seahawk Positivity.
There it is.
Oh dear.
There it is. Oh my God. The school of positivity.
Jean-Pierre.
That was the actual North Korean, and it was very good.
Thank you.
Kim Jong-un, ladies and gentlemen.
Kim Jong-un. Hey, all right. God. Crowd liked it. Yeah, Jim Kanu kids.
Beautiful.
All right, the kids are here. They love it. All right. Oh my God. Yeah. Welcome to hell, Jerry Jones. I guess you're going to sell your soul to the devil because God knows Tony Romo's not going to get you the Super Bowl. So you better find some other way to get there.
He's not ever going to get into hell. Devil's never going to let Jerry Jones into hell. The bloke will take over and build glory hole booths everywhere. He's not going to let him in.
Again, there's a reference to the devil and Mr. Jones, but we won't go there.
I think it's funny that they kind of dodged the bullet last year and everybody thought they were smart for not drafting Johnny Manziel. They were just saving it up for the bazooka round they did with this one. That just completely cracks me up.
Oh my God. You've had a lot of rather ignorant owner stories tonight, Will. You got a third?
Well, not owners, unfortunately. Although I do find it interesting that the NFL's annual window for random tests of NFL players for recreational drugs opens on April 20th. Yes, they start testing for pot on 4/20. Not a joke. However, the union is making sure that all of its members are aware of that fact. I have never smoked the wacky tobacco myself, but apparently marijuana stays in the player's system for up to 30 days. The union, taking no chances, issued a reminder to all players 32 days ahead of April 20th that is the day the testing begins and that all pot had better be out of their system before then. So
I
have to say it kind of ruins the effectiveness of a random test if you tell them when they're going to start randomly testing you, but that's just me.
For me, there's two things there, because when you said random testing, I immediately thought about maths test. So as if someone was going to walk in and go, "You, there, 6 times 4. I don't know, man, that's tough." So that was the first thing I thought in my head. But what I don't get is how anyone in the NFL can think that marijuana is a performance-enhancing drug. I don't understand what performance it's enhancing. The only thing it ever enhanced for me was the ability to eat digestive biscuits. And I don't think that's going to help.
I want to know what that is.
That's just a biscuit. It's just a biscuit. But I have no idea. Or cookie for you American people. I mean, I never understood how anyone can suggest that marijuana is a performance. And what performance is it enhancing? The ability to sleep? I mean,
eat Cheetos.
Sleep is important.
That's odd.
Just odd.
It is very strange.
Well, it's two separate policies in the NFL. They have one for the recreational drugs, which is what pot would fall under, and then you have the one for the performance-enhancing drugs. So,
right.
It's still, I don't know. I still love them. I mean, you can do random testing for whether they're taking drugs. So go around and randomly test whether they're beating up their wives. That's the next one they will be doing.
That one I think is a higher priority.
A little bit right now, no doubt about that.
You know, it kind of makes me wonder the next CBA talks that they have, if they're going to have clauses to where you can actually smoke if you're playing in a state that allows that, because you're not a federal employee. So kind of a curious thing, because otherwise, you know, Seahawks and Broncos could smoke weed technically if they wanted to, if the league wasn't going to punish them for it. Kind of an interesting thing, because I'm just saying, because I'm a federal worker, I'm not allowed.
Dustin's researched this particular piece of legislation quite heavily, and
I didn't have to research it. They brought it to us like, "Hey, look, you work for the federal government. You're not allowed to smoke pot. I don't care that it passed in Washington. You can't do it." Like, okay.
Yeah. That's all you have to say.
Roll on one. Okay.
Oh my God!
Fire up old Sparky.
You mean we're keeping score today, man? What? Hey, coach. When's Monday Night Football, man?
That's the Cheetos.
See, that's the sort of thing that actually Pete Carroll probably going to need to like bring him out of the rafters, because his energy levels and his chewing gum jaw and everything else is just going crackers during game time. You just want to put him in the changing room with a couple of bongs and say, "There we go. You have a little go on that. You have a little go on that for a little while, coach, and we'll see you in 20 minutes."
Yes, please. Please, let's get Coach Carroll high, shall we? That's a wonderful idea. Oh
He's friends with celebrities. Maybe Seth Rogen will do it and then go up and call the game.
Anyone who's never listened to this show has now officially turned it off after that. Yeah, okay, they're talking about getting Pete Carroll high.
Well, it was only a matter of time, Moses.
Yeah, well, it was. They don't make it past the second quarter anyway, so you know.
And Jerry Jones could give it to Hardy in brownie form, I guess. Maybe.
Well, actually, Hardy could probably use a little pot. It might mellow him out a little bit.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Performance enhancing drug.
Whew, okay, man. Wow, we had it all there, Will. I think this is the end of the first. This is the end of the first quarter.
I guess so.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
All right, man.
All right,
So,
dude.
like, we'll be back, man.
Tubular.
Yeah, thanks, Will, man.
No problem, dude.
All right, we're gonna take a identification, man.
Or
Legalize it.
something.
We'll be back, man.
Don't criticize it.
We'll be. Oh my God, I've lost total control of this show. Second quarter, I promise we get control back. We'll talk about free agency. We'll be right back, hopefully, right after this.
And now it's time for a 12th Man Fan Jam 60-second rant.
You know you make me wanna
Rant.
I don't want to get off on a rant here.
Folks, you shouldn't be so quick to believe sports media these days. Last year, there were reports that Seattle had signed Jared Allen. Didn't happen. There were also reports that the team had grown tired of Marshawn Lynch and were eager to move on from him. Also didn't happen. And this past Wednesday, a Dallas beat writer reported that Michael Bennett wanted to trade to Atlanta and a new contract. The team denied that Bennett had asked for a trade. Nothing has really come of it since, and it's looking like this is another false story. Reporters are under great pressure to break news stories. They have sources that lie to them sometimes, or are wrong sometimes. Bottom line, there are just too many opportunities for things to go wrong, for things to be reported incorrectly. So the next time you hear a report that sounds either too good or too bad to be true, and it's only based off of an anonymous source or two, you might want to take it with a grain of salt. That reporter may have gotten headlines, but has he gotten to the truth?
Holy shit, it's the second quarter.
Yes, welcome back to the second quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam Show, episode 303, the March Madness 2015 edition. Your brackets are already busted. We don't watch college basketball. We want to talk about the Seattle Seahawks and football, and that's exactly what we're going to do on this show for the next few quarters. Starting the second quarter, we're going to talk about the Seahawks free agency, and we're going to start the second quarter with the losses. And we've had quite a few losses in free agency. Matt, what was one of the key losses you felt coming out of free agency?
Well, I mean, there's only one story in this for me, and it's almost as if I think that other teams have been listening to this show.
I think so.
And have had a listen and thought, oh no, these guys obviously know what they're talking about. They're clearly professional football fans who understand the game. And we've lost, I think, one of our single biggest players. We've lost Brian Walters.
Oh, we've
I'm
lost
quite
Brian
emotional about
Walters.
this.
No!
I'm quite emotional about
No
this.
Walt Experience for us.
No, well, you know, if it happens, it's going to be when Jacksonville do it against us. This is the problem that I'm thinking about now. You know, is that it is entirely possible at some point that he could do the B Walt Experience against us, and that would break Dustin's little heart.
Oh my God!
Absolutely.
Break Dustin's little heart. You said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I got that.
It absolutely will.
He would fall. He would fall off that drinks crate that he has to stand on to be able to see into the stadium. That would break his heart. That'd be the end of him, man.
Well, thankfully they have stairs you can walk up, and it's stadium seating in the stadium, so I can look over people. It's cool.
Yay!
He has a booster seat, but it's fine. But it's just really sad, man.
Oh,
So, yeah, he's gone.
The B Walt Experience will not happen in Seattle. Hopefully, it won't happen in Seattle.
Well, let's be honest, it's not going to happen in Jacksonville either, is it?
Watch, now that he's gone to a different team, he'll run back 4 punts for touchdowns this year.
I kind of hope so.
So do I.
So hilarious.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, he'll like lead the league in punting now. That would be great. Oh God.
When you think about it, the Jacksonville's the perfect team for him, because in the same way he signals fair catch, the team's waving the white flag at halftime. So, you know.
Well said. Well said. Well, hey, Mark, what about some other free agents that the Seahawks have lost during this frenzied free agency period?
Well, of course, our offensive line. I don't know. I mean, I would think, an interesting one is, James Carpenter going to the Jets and is he getting $5 million a year, or I forget what his deal is, but he's a guy, decent run blocker, had some good games, was kind of coming around, but I don't really. Nobody that we've lost so far really bugs me all that much. And Carpenter, got his money, went to the Jets, and I trust Pete and John, even though the offensive line is it's gotten more interesting. But I don't mind moving on from these guys like Carpenter and Unger, who was hurt half the season. I think we're going to be okay. But Carpenter got his payday, so did Maxwell. Wow, huge deal in Philly.
Yeah, let's stay with Carpenter. We'll talk about Maxwell coming up, but Carpenter and the offensive line. It's easy as fans the minute we lose a guy, go, oh well, who needs him? We don't. But I'll be honest with you. To me, I don't know. Will, the guy was a penalty machine. I'll just say it.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we need to address the offensive line. I think we will. It's a great draft for interior linemen. I think we're going to get some good people, but I did not like the Carpenter pick from day one, and I never really saw anything that would lead me to change my mind. I think he is replaceable. And, Unger, obviously, him I've been a big fan of, and, it hurts to see him go. But on the other hand, again, the injuries. He played in 6 regular season games last year. And we've got a young kid in Patrick Lewis who started off a little rough, got better every week. I think the losses on the offensive line, it's easy to say, oh, yeah, we don't need these guys. But I honestly think that we can come out of this with a better line this year than we had last year, which wouldn't be too hard.
I think it's replaceable, too, but I think that what they're going to really have to do is look for a couple interior linemen who have been in some sort of similar zone blocking scheme, because I don't think the guys we have currently on the roster are really going to get it done for us. They got to bring in guys that can actually do this at a higher level, and they're going to have some experience. You guys they got to gel, they got to mesh. And if you have no idea what you're doing and you go in there to a new scheme, which Tom Cable's admitted it's kind of hard. It takes about, I think he said 8 games for people to kind of settle in and have it start clicking. We might be in for a rough early season if we don't have people that can understand this and have some sort of experience in it. So I think that probably Carpenter is bad, and I say he's worse than anybody else we lost because we also lost to Unger, and that's a lot of experience there for our offensive line. Even if they're not necessarily on the field as much as we would like, they're there more than the rookies will be.
Well, that's a good point. Matt, defensively, we've lost a lot of depth. Jaron Johnson, Malcolm Smith, O'Brien Schofield. But of course, Byron Maxwell, we all kind of figured that was going to happen. It got quite a big payday in Philadelphia, didn't he?
Yeah, well, and he deserves it. At the end of the day, when you have the best defense in the league, you've got to expect to lose some of these players at free agency. We can't afford to keep everybody. We knew this. John Schneider, Pete Carroll, they all told us there would be very difficult decisions ahead. Yes, we've managed to keep Lynch. Yes, we've managed to do a lot of other deals, but we knew that we were going to lose some of these guys. So it's not a big surprise to any of us, and it shouldn't be a big surprise to any of us. But we have. I don't know quite so much now, but I mean, what with some of the other changes that are going on. But our defense, I think, will have to be restocked, I suppose. I do have questions around Simon. I still have questions around some of that I think needs to be addressed as well. But I'm not sitting here panicking about anything. I'm not sitting here going, oh my goodness, we've got a raging, gap somewhere or a hole somewhere which we simply can't fill. I'm not feeling that. I'm not feel like that moment. I'm not a Saints fan who's now looking at Jimmy Graham. I'm not in that place. But I think we've got to certainly get some young talent in. I think we're going to be very good at that. I agree totally with Dustin, though, is that one of the things we are losing is leadership from the locker room at places, and I think that's something which might be more difficult to replace.
Yeah. Will, do you think that Byron Maxwell, minus Thomas, minus Chancellor, minus Sherman, is he worth, it was, I believe, $10 million a year, if I'm not mistaken? Is he a shutdown corner that you can center your team around, or was he just a good piece in a puzzle here in Seattle?
I got to be honest. I'm glad we did not pay him $10.5 million a year.
Me too.
During his press conference, he said that we had offered him $8 million. Honestly, I'm glad we did not pay him that much. I'm glad he didn't accept that offer. I'm not running Byron Maxwell down. He did a great job for us. I wish we could have kept him at a reasonable price. But no, he's getting paid like a number one cornerback, and I think he is a very, very good number two cornerback. And I don't know if he can carry a secondary the way that at various points Sherman and Thomas and Chancellor have. So if the Eagles wanted to pay that much for him, then God bless him for getting the money, and I hope he does well, but I don't think he's a number one cornerback in this league.
Zorny, what are your thoughts or Mark, what are your thoughts on Byron Maxwell and the other defensive losses we've had? Because we've had a few, especially bench, we're kind of thin right now as far as backups, I think.
Well, with Maxwell, I posted somewhere that, for when you have a defense like the Eagles, paying Maxwell that much money is like putting a brand new windshield on a busted car. It's just there's so much work to do for that team. It's small wonder that he took the deal, because they overpaid for him. And in terms of what Malcolm Smith and Schofield, none of these guys leaving is breaking my heart. I think they're all pretty much replaceable. And I guess we'll get to it here, but the guy we got from Cleveland, I was saying before the show that I think that's a huge deal. We'll get to that later, but so far, we're doing okay, with in free agency, I think.
Sorry, just to say that I think there's an element here of teams wanting to purchase a piece of secondary from Seattle. It doesn't matter what piece they get their hands on. It doesn't matter, what they pay for it. It's almost like they feel as if they're buying into the Legion of Boom, if you like, in that way. But what they're missing is the attitude, the team structure around that particular piece of the defense. It's not just about the players. It's about the mentality. It's about the coaching. It's about the brotherhood and all that sort of stuff. They're not buying that. They're taking the weaker pieces of that structure, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can transform that into a mini Legion of the Boom in Philadelphia. It's just not going to happen around that, I don't think.
Yeah, the Legion of Boom is kind of becoming the Kentucky of NFL football, because the people are pulling and picking them. They know that they're going to play well there, and they know that if you're not Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, or Earl Thomas, you're probably not going to be staying. So guys pick them up and they make a big contract, which will probably make people want to come here, have a good year in that system and get paid later. Like Philly picked up Thurmond, Walter Thurmond also, just trying to recreate what we have. And like Matt was saying, it's not going to work, not in the same way. And they're picking up essentially, you love them when they're here, but essentially the guys that we let go, there's a reason they're not worth what they're getting paid. They're kind of the scraps of the LOB, and you're never going to duplicate what we currently have. The teams will try.
Yes, I do wish we'd been able to keep Jerron Johnson, though.
Yeah.
I know he was a backup, but he was a very solid backup, and this is not a good draft for safety. So that's some depth that we may have trouble replacing.
Especially, I think secondary in general might be a little bit tough, because we're hurting more than we think we are because of injuries. I mean, they don't know when Jeremy Lane's coming back. They're not sure.
I think it's safe to assume Lane's going to start on PUP, and he's going to miss some serious time this year.
Yeah, Harold Simon, we know he had a shoulder surgery. I have no idea what it was or how long he's going to be out. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but there's a lot of banged up players. It's kind of it's a new position for us right now, a new front.
Right.
It's interesting.
It's okay with me if Simon gets all the rest that he needs.
I second that. One last question, Will. We're sitting here, and this is a different era of Seahawk football, obviously. And last year, after winning the Super Bowl, we expected, and we did. We got poached. We lost a lot of players in free agency. And I think we've lost a lot of players in free agency, but we're sitting here going, oh, it's all right. It's no big deal. We'll be fine. Has our culture changed in Seattle where we as fans see, 8 or 10 guys leave our team and go, that's okay because they'll replenish it? Has our culture entirely changed from, say, 4 or 5 years ago where we leave these 3 guys and we go, oh my God, we've lost half our line or we've lost whatever? Has the culture changed that much that we can feel comfortable with this kind of loss?
Well, it has changed. It's more a measure of how this team is run, because with seeing all these guys leaving, it's playing into our strengths because we're getting a lot of good compensatory picks for it. Mm-hmm. We're probably going to get 4 comp picks in this April's draft with a 4th for Golden Tate. We're almost certainly going to get a 3rd round compensatory pick for Byron Maxwell with the contract he signed. So we're letting guys go, but by not running out and getting the big name free agents like Julius Thomas or Greg Hardy, we're getting the comp picks. We're getting the ammo we need to replenish this roster. And given our strength as a drafting team, I think this is the right way to go.
Yeah, anybody else want to chime in on that comment?
I would just say, look, I think one of the things that's changed for me is that we're not looking at a team where we're talking about one player every week. I mean, it's not like, in the Saints with Jimmy Graham. It's not like Murray or something like that. We're not talking about one player all the time, and if we are, it's beast mode. And let's face it, we've wrapped him up so tough. But in essence, we are a team, and so I think when you lose a part of a structure of that team, whether it be a defensive or an offensive piece, we see the depth. We know that we've got good coaching. We know that we've got a general manager who is able to make some incredible draft picks. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's very rare that he makes a cock up. Percy Harvin might be one that we could put down as being a bit of a moment where he didn't necessarily do all the due diligence he probably could have done. In fact, they've admitted that, and that's why they looked more carefully at the other trades that they're doing now. But we're a team, and so it's not about if we lost a single player that all of a sudden our entire fortunes depend upon that. We're not the 49ers. We're not Saints.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, and I'm glad we're not for many reasons.
I think the culture's changed as well, and I think a big part of that is that with this current Seahawks team that we have and the coaching staff that we have, I think what that's done is drawn in a lot of casual fans into a more hardcore fan base, and that's going to up fans' education, what's going on, because they're going to pay attention more. They're going to understand things better. And I think that's a big part of what's changed the culture as far as what we're looking at and what we're seeing. Like, there's nothing here that really panics me about any of these guys that we lost. The only thing that I wish who we would have kept is Moiaki, to be honest with you. That's because McCoy can't prove that he can play. He's always injured, always gone. He missed the last 2 seasons. Popped one Achilles 2 years ago, popped the other one this year. So I wish you would have kept Tony Moiaki and let McCoy go. But I think that just the way they do things, the way they handle business, it's really drawn people in, and it really helps them to, like I said, want to pay attention and see what's going on. And when you do something like that and you have this interesting dynamic that we have now with the players and the personalities and all that, it really, really just rocks the boat and changes things. This is not your Mike Holmgren Seahawks. Yep. It's not, thankfully, your Dennis Erickson Seahawks or anybody else's. This is a brand new Seahawks team, a brand new culture. They even have new uniforms. I mean, Nike's brand new. So everything about it is new, and it's fresh, and it's fun, and people are buying in and loving it, man.
Yeah, I'm loving it, just like the commercials say. And speaking of loving it, I'm loving the fact this is the end of the second quarter.
Holy shit, it's halftime.
We've talked about the Seahawk losses, and we're going to come up with the start of the third quarter will be the Seahawk gains in free agency. But before we get there, it's time for another rousing rendition of the 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia Show. Stay tuned. You can play along as well. Will Will keep his title, or will someone else defeat Will? We will see what will happen when we will come back.
Will we?
Right after this.
Hey, this is Matt, all the way from merry old England, and you're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam.
Yes, it's halftime, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the best play-along Seahawk-themed trivia game show on the internet. It's time for 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia with your host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity. Ah, yes, thank you, me, and welcome to another rousing rendition of 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia, the trivia game, the best Seahawk-based trivia game on YouTube. And here's how we play. You can play along as well. We have the rules coming up, but before we do the rules, we want to introduce our panel one last time. First off, the president of the Ricky Gervais fan club from merry old England, it is Matt.
I hate Ricky Gervais.
I know, that's why I said it. He does not like Ricky Gervais. Also, president of the Car Seats for Adults Club, that would be Dustin.
Hello, hello, hello.
And the president of the Silent Assassins Club, that would be Mark.
There was one? Oh, hi, everybody.
There was one, there is one. And, of course, the president of the No Hair Club for Men, that is Will.
Yeah, not just a member, club president.
All right. That's the panel. Now here are the rules. So here's how the trivia game works. There will be 2 rounds of questions. Each contestant answers 1 question each round. If they get it correct, they get 1 point. After 2 rounds of questions, there will be a final trivia question worth 2 points. If there's a tie after that, then the tied players go on to a special secret overtime question where the winner becomes reigning 12th Man Fan Jam Trivia Champion and gets to have a special 60-second rant between the first and second quarter of the very next episode of the 12th Man Fan Jam Show. As an added bonus to those listeners on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, the questions and possible answers will be displayed on your screen, so you, the viewer and listener, can play along as well if you wish. If you'd like to play along, please let us know how you did on the questions. Remember, there's no Googling, no phone a friend, and please, no wagering. However, there is a lifeline for each of the contestants. Before the taping of this show, my 2 charming Seahawk fan children, Mosette and Little Mo, did take this quiz. And if the contestants want to know what the kids said, they may ask that only once during the entire game show and only during the first 2 rounds. Now let's get ready to play 12th Man Fan Jam Trivia. We've all been briefed on the rules. Now it's time to play the game. We will start by questions 1 through 4. The first topic is Seahawk Editions. Seahawk Editions. That's the first round. So we will start with our champion from last time. That's Will. Will, 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Number 1.
Will's going to go with number 1. And then we'll go with Matt.
Russell Wilson, number 3.
Chooses number 3. We'll go with Dustin.
2.
Dustin's taking 2, I believe. And that leaves Mark with number 4. All right, here we go. Seahawk Editions. And let's play the trivia. We're going to start with Will. Question 1. Will, your question is this. As a member of the University of Miami, Florida, what Legion of Boom member did Jimmy Graham play against in 2009? Was it Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, or Earl Thomas? Hey, Will! There's some Morgan, baby.
Oh, dear.
Played him in college, 2009. Jimmy Graham was in the University of Miami, Florida. Who did he play against? Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, or Earl Thomas?
I will go with Chancellor.
Going with the Chancellor. Going with the Chancellor! Oh. Cam Chancellor. The kids both said Earl Thomas. But you're right. It's Cam Chancellor.
Woo!
Virginia Tech beat the University of Miami 31-7 in 2009. If you were curious, and I don't think you were, but we'll move on. Dustin!
Uh-huh.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Dustin, your question is this. New defensive back Kerry Williams went to Washburn College. Where is Washburn College located? Is it Topeka, Kansas, Wichita, Kansas, or Omaha, Nebraska? Washburn College!
Washburn College.
Washburn College.
I wish Matt had gotten that one.
I'm glad I didn't.
I was
really glad
praying
didn't.
for Matt to get that one, to be honest.
What are the options again?
Topeka, Kansas. Wichita, Kansas. Omaha, Nebraska.
I'm going to pick one of those.
All right.
And since two are in Kansas, I'm assuming that it has to be in Kansas. I'll go Topeka.
Oh. He's going to go Topeka.
Topeka what?
Peekaboo.
Topeka. Mosette said Wichita, and Little Mo said Omaha, and he laughed when he said Omaha because of the Super Bowl the other year. You said, what did you say? You said Topeka, didn't you?
Peekaboo.
You got it.
Yeah.
Topeka, Kansas is where Washburn College is, and Dustin's on the board. All right, we now go to Matt.
I got that wrong.
Matt.
Yes.
There's a new addition to the Seahawks named Will Blackman. I'm sure you're familiar with him. Defensive back. He used to play for the Seahawks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Before he played with us, he played in the Arena Football League. What Arena Football League team did Will Blackman play for? Was it the Arizona Rattlers, the Philadelphia Soul, or the Tampa Bay Storm?
Oh.
Arena Football League team Will Blackman played for. The Arizona Rattlers, the Philadelphia Soul, or the Tampa Bay Storm?
I'm just going to go with the first one, which was the Arizona, whatever you just said.
Rattlers.
Yeah, whatever.
The kids both say Tampa Bay Storm.
Nah, I couldn't have possibly.
Kids are wrong. Rattlers. The Arizona Rattlers.
Yay. Well, there you go. There's a guess.
And you're all on the board. And now it comes down to Mark, who, as we all know, Mark is organ free. Mark, are you ready?
I'm amazed at Matt's prowess for 1 out of 3, and he hits them every time.
He does, doesn't he? He does not see these. You guys have no idea what these questions are.
No idea what these questions are.
They don't. I came up with these like a week ago, and they don't even know what the topic is or anything. Because if I give them a topic, they'd be Googling like crazy, folks. I don't give them anything. All right.
These questions, I don't know what they are after he asks them.
Exactly.
No doubt.
All right. I wish Matt had gotten this one. Okay, here we go. It's not a college question, but it's really.
Well, tell you what, just if you can ask me I'll see the thing is you're going to give the answer right, because I was going to try and prove Mark right, because I'll put a guess down as well. Go on, you say the same. I won't answer it, but you go first, and I'll tell you what my guess was.
Okay.
Can we?
You can't ask him.
Amend the rule. I mean, we're in the time of new rules.
You could ask the kid.
Could we do like a Family Feud steal?
No. You're close. You're closer. Take it.
I'll send a message to Dustin secretly to tell him which one I would have picked, and then we'll see whether I'm right.
You cannot ask Matt. That is not an option. All right, Mark. Here you go. Greg Scruggs played in a high school band. What instrument did Greg Scruggs play in the high school band? Was it the trumpet?
God. I've seen a picture of this, and I can't remember.
Or was it the drums? Trumpet, trombone, or drums?
Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, see, I got the same odds here, 1 out of 3. Trumpet, trombone, or drums. Oh, man. Oh, let's see.
I'm going to say real quick, Matt, you were wrong.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
Let's see, boy. You know what? He seems like a trombone guy. I'm gonna go with that.
Do I seem like a trombone guy?
Some kind of bone.
Because I play trombone. So okay, you said trombone, right?
Yes,
Mosette said trumpet. Little Mo said drums. Matt said drums, by the way. And the answer is drums.
Okay, Matt, you were right.
Matt got that right, not even trying. So, at the end of the first round, Will, Dustin, and Matt with a point. Mark with no points, but don't worry, Mark, because remember, final question is worth 2 points. So, we will start with our champion again. Will, 5, 6, 7, or 8?
I'll do 5.
All right, and then we will go with Dustin. 6, 7, 8?
Hi. 6.
And Matt?
7.
Same order. And that means that Mark will be the final question of this round. The questions in these rounds are Seahawk losses. Ooh. Yeah, we had additions, now we have subtractions. All right. And here we go. Are you ready for your question?
Bring it.
All right, here we go. How many receiving yards did Zach Miller have in the playoff game against the Atlanta Falcons? 140, 142, or 145? Hey, Will! Got some Morgan for you. All right. How many receiving yards Zach Miller in the playoff game against Atlanta Falcons? 140, 142, or 145?
I gotta go with the 45. I'll take 145.
He's got to go with the 145, and I know why he's got to go with 145. Little Mo went to 145 too. Little Mosette went with 140. He went with 145. Sorry, it's 142. 142 yards.
Should have gone with my first instinct, but I heard 45, and that was the end of it.
It just pulls you off. I know. It would me as well.
I hear that's a new linebacker number coming up, so that's awesome.
Oh,
Could be.
Please say it so. Okay.
Except not in Seattle.
No.
Kenny Easy.
Kenny Easy, exactly. Dustin, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Following Max Unger's departure, how many players on the Seahawk roster were here before John Schneider came? After Max left, how many players were on the Seahawk roster before Schneider came?
I believe it's one and Brandon Mebane.
Well, okay. You're getting some Morgan anyway, buddy.
He's in there.
I know. Little Mo said one. Mosette said two. It's two. John Ryan was here too.
I forgot about the Canadian dude.
John Ryan and Mebane, but that was good. And you were there.
You forgot about the Canadian? That's racist.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. Number 7 goes to Matt. Are you ready, Matt?
Yes, I'm ready.
Right. Okay, Matt, in 2012, how many sacks did Jerron Johnson have for the Seahawks in 2012? Is it 1, 2, or 3? Sacks for Jerron Johnson, safety. 1, 2, or 3?
Well, I think that it's about time that we got the kids involved on this.
Oh!
So I think I'm gonna have to go and ask the kids.
Ask the kids. How many sacks did Jerron Johnson have for the Seahawks 2012? Little Mo said 2. Mosette said 3.
I'll go with the kid. I'm gonna go with 2.
I'll go with Little Mo. Oh, that kid watches a lot of film, let me tell you.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, he went 2. And you're right.
Yes.
You chose wisely. And Matt has 2 points. He's perfect.
Trust the power of Little Mo. Trust the power of Little Mo.
Trust the power of Little Mo. Congratulations, Little Mo. I'll tell him that you got you a point tomorrow. He'll be really excited about that. And finally, Mark, who is organ free. Mark, how many games did James Carpenter play for the Seahawks? Not start, but play. How many games did James Carpenter play for the Seahawks? 40, 42, or 45?
Wait a second. Are you sure you played in that many?
I know I'd take the under.
Let's see, 40, 42, or 45, was it?
Uh-huh. Yes, sir.
Oh, boy. Well, I'm going to go with the jinx and say 45.
He's saying 45. Matt said 45. Little Mo said 45. Mosette said 42. Guess what? It's 45.
Yeah.
I should have gotten that one.
And Matt technically has 4 points, but he only has 2. But
I knew that one, though.
Just showing off.
I knew that one.
For all of us, yes. So here's where we stand as we go into the final question. Will has a point. Dustin has a point. Matt has 2 points. Mark has a point, which means we will have a champion after this question. Now, here's how the final question goes. I will be asking for a number. And we will, the order will go Matt, then Will, then Dustin, and Mark. The closest without going over gets the 2 points and will become our champion for this week. And if you're all over the number, the one closest to it gets the points. Here we go. Are you ready?
Seems like a bad idea. I go first. I get the most points, and I have to go first, and you're all going to price and write me out. Go on then.
Oh,
you win the right to go first, sir.
Already,
yes, you're like way farther than us in the time zone.
Already complaining.
Which when you're playing a price and right game, is not a good idea to go first.
Yeah, that's true. Well, here we go. Okay, how many tackles?
I don't care.
And okay,
Cool.
It's over. Everybody, no.
Matt's out.
Hey, how many tackles did Byron Maxwell have for the Seahawks? How many tackles overall in his career did Byron Maxwell have for the Seahawks? And to help you out, there's some Oregon for you, buddy.
Now, is this before or after which ACL? Which one was he running on?
Career.
How many what?
Tackles.
Oh, I don't care. I'm going to say 72.
72. Will.
Okay. I'm going to do 81.
Dustin.
What did Matt say?
72. And Will said 81.
All right. Well, I see Matt's and I race him by 5. I'll say 77.
77. Okay.
Hope you're all over.
Mark?
You know what? In keeping with the off-air humor, I'm going to go with 69.
That's awesome.
I've never laughed so hard at that number in my life. Okay, here's what we got. Mark's got 69. Matt's got 72. Dustin has 77. Will has 81, and I feel like I'm in 4th grade. Okay. How many tackles did Byron Maxwell have for the Seahawks? The answer is 82. Will missed by 1. And the winner takes it all, baby.
Woohoo!
There he goes again.
Keeps his championship. God, if only the Seahawks could have said that this year, right? But that's all right.
Oh, don't do that.
Back-to-back champs for Will. Will, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Well done. Well played, everybody. That has been another rousing rendition of 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia. The winner took it all. We're going to take a break, and we will be right back after this brief commercial break.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
You know, we could set off some firecrackers in front of that mic and maybe get 150. So then what? We're 150 loud? But if it happens, I guarantee you what'll happen is Kansas City will just do it again. And then we'll do it again. What we do next? We get a couple shotguns to shoot off in front of the mic so that it makes a loud noise.
Guys, I just want to say that the 12th Man Fan Jam does not endorse taking fireworks or firearms into an NFL stadium, so anything Dennis just said, you should probably disregard.
I said
you're no fun.
Yes.
I didn't hear anything.
Holy shit, it's the 3rd quarter.
Yes, and welcome back to the 3rd quarter, the start of the second half of your 12th Man Fan Jam show, episode 303, March Madness 2015 edition. This is, of course, your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, along with Matt, Dustin, Mark, and Will. And we're going to talk now about the Seahawk additions in free agency. We ended the first half of the second quarter with the subtractions. Let's talk about some additions, some things that have happened recently, including news that broke the day of this recording that I'll share a little bit at the end of this quarter. But first, we want to talk about the actual additions right now. And 2 guys that joined the defensive backfield was a guy named Kerry Williams from Philadelphia and Will Blackman, who had been here with the Seahawks before. Dustin, what are your thoughts on those 2 defensive back signings?
It's nice to have somebody that's familiar with the system coming back, because I feel like we're probably going to need that depth, given some of the injuries that we've had. And then as far as Kerry Williams goes, I like his fire. I like the attitude he has as far as going out there. He's a real fiery dude. Like, he's the dude that when I can't remember the receiver's name, but he's the guy that got in a fight with him in training camp after the racial remarks. He's the guy.
Yeah. Cooper.
Yeah.
Riley Cooper.
Riley Cooper, that's right. Yeah. He's the guy that got in the fight. I feel like his mentality, his attitude, and his probably swagger, I'm sure, is going to fit in with the Legion of Boom. And as long as his play matches up, that's fine. And he's got the body type that Pete Carroll and those guys can coach up and that they like. And I think he's going to be a solid addition. And like I said, Blackman, I like that they brought him back for depth there, but he's also a punt return, kick return guy, which is huge for us. So I'm all for what they've done, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Will, we just spent the second quarter talking about how losing, Maxwell, maybe he isn't, as good without these pieces. How good would a Kerry Williams be with those pieces? Are we good shape there?
Well, it's definitely gonna help and it's gonna hurt. I mean, he's gonna have great players around him, but on the other hand, he's going to have he's going to be the target. I mean, if you're fading back to pass on third down, would you rather throw it at Richard Sherman or Kerry Williams? So, but one thing this team has done well, this coaching staff has done well for the last several years, is coach up a player's strengths and make up for his weaknesses. Williams definitely has some weaknesses, but like Dustin said, he's got the body type and the speed that this team wants, and I think they're going to put him in positions where he can do really well. And I'm glad we got Blackman back. I thought he was. I thought that was a bit of an underrated signing. Yeah, he didn't make the team with us in 2013, but look who we had playing defensive back for us in 2013. Right. Yeah. I mean, that was a stacked group.
It was. Mark, I noticed, I think Blackman put on his Twitter a few days ago, Chris Richard, who was the former defensive back coach, is now our defensive coordinator. And I think Blackman put something like, I'm ready to run through a wall for this guy, and that's exciting to hear. Sounds like Blackman or that was Williams that said that. Sounds like Williams has already bought into the program. Are these two really good defensive back signings?
Well, what I like is that, they both have been playing now are they both 30 years old? Are they right around there?
I know Will Blackman is. I don't know about Kerry Williams.
Yeah. I think Williams is a year or two younger.
Yeah, a year or two younger.
I mean, I like that, they have a decent track record, and like Will was saying and others were saying, Blackman's been here. And so, it's a needed experience. I actually like it because this demonstrates too that, again, Pete and John are not going to sit around and hope that some of the younger, see, I'm picking on Simon. I picked up on, I've joined the Mac Club on the Simon bashing. And I said last show, I think Simon, that position, that skill position at cornerback, you got to make your determination really early. It doesn't require a huge sample size to kind of get an idea, and I think that's indicated partly why we brought in Blackman and Williams, is that I think it shows it says something about their faith in, oh, we're good, we have Simon, we'll throw him in there. I mean, the guy's already being challenged, and I said last show that Thurl Simon's a prime candidate here for the Kelly Jennings Award if we wait around for him to develop. So.
Yep, yes, you did. You definitely did. Matt, besides the defensive backs, we also signed, are you ready for this? Am I saying this right? Atiba Rubin. Hey, kids, Atiba Rubin. Yeah.
He kind of sounds like a sandwich.
A little bit. Are these three signings good ones, Matt? Do you like what they've done on defense?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I wish they'd pick people with names that I could understand. I'm not gonna. It would just be easy if they were all called George or something like that.
You were hoping they signed a guy like Pierre or something, so I'd have to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you've got to say him in a French accent, that's perfect. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the cornerbacks, I mean, Kerry Williams. Yeah, I am pretty pleased actually, and I have to defend. I'm going to do it though, Mark. So prepare yourself. I have to defend Thurl Simon a little bit. I think
Whoa.
Yeah, so I know. I need a little lay down. It's very early in the morning here. But he was exposed during the NFC game. He was exposed during the Super Bowl. But he has come along a little bit. But I mean, is he ready for a start? I don't know. But I don't think he's all that bad. I just think his attitude and his temperament is not in the right place sometimes, and that worries me. He's undisciplined. That worries me. But he has the ability to make great plays. I just think he's one of those things. He's like a piece of clay in progress. He's got to be molded. He's got to be. Now this just depends whether or not we've got the time to donate to give that, and whether he actually comes along and does something. I don't know. But he's a good reserve piece. Keep him in reserve. That's fine. Kerry Williams, Will Blackman, very happy with that. I think both of those moves are good. This other dude, I have to say, this is pretty new news, isn't it? Because I haven't read up on him, so I don't know all the details and all the bits and bobs. But again, I know you were pretty excited about it on Facebook, if I remember, Moses, from what I've seen.
I was. First off, you defended Simon, so I think
a little bit. I know.
Say what?
Okay. So
who are you people, and where's my real posse?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
But
don't get me wrong, though. As soon as he punches somebody and gets sent off, I'm going to be right back on Twitter having a go at him again. Don't worry.
I'm with you. I understand. Well, the thing about Ruben is when we get a guy that I don't know anything about, and that's just about every time we sign somebody, I will go to a forum of the other team, and if you can cut through, there's always a group that's going to say, "Oh my God, I didn't like that guy anyway. I'm glad he's gone." And there are people who are going to say, "Oh my God, the world's ending because this guy's gone." When you cut through all that, in the middle ground somewhere, you get a pretty good feel for this guy. I don't know him from Adam, Mr. Rubin, but I do know that the Browns fans liked him. Wow, words like underrated, words like great pickup, and even better, words like reputation as a hard worker and a great locker room guy came out of the forums. Now that's fans, so who knows what they're thinking, but they know him better than I do. And so when I went and saw that, I got very encouraged. They're like, wow, that's a good pickup for the Seahawks. That guy was always been underrated. We're going to really miss him. His locker room presence was wonderful. He's an extremely hard worker. I like it. So that's what I went with. Mark, what do you know about Mr. Rubin?
Well, a couple of things. One, he's one of the few players in Browns history not to contract a staph infection in that locker room.
Yay!
No small feat, that one.
So he's durable. He's durable. Good.
Hey, kids. Wait, hold on, kids. No staph infection. All right.
And two, I posted in one of the forums that, again, like any other Browns player, he has to feel like he just crawled through, the 300-foot sewer line out of the prison that is the Browns and peeled off his shirt, like Shawshank Redemption, and he's in the rain. He's coming to Seattle, so he's just got to be stoked.
The thing is, you see, he's got to be devastated, though, because he's not going to get to wear the brand new logo shirt.
Oh, I know!
And, where they've replaced the printer cartridge and made all their colours darker.
You can't
He can
polish
still buy him, though. He can still buy him in Cleveland, not anywhere else, but yeah.
You can't polish a turd, so it doesn't matter what the Browns do.
But just to add, there's something here from DeQuell Jackson, who apparently turned around and said that he's one of the most, if not the most underrated defensive lineman in the NFL. I've been around him from day one here, and he's had the same commitment. He's an extremely good player who simply hasn't had the notoriety throughout the league. He's a player you want to model your game after. The way he prepares, the way he practices. I try to emulate him, and that's hard to do. That's
wonderful.
Gotta be good.
Wonderful.
That's gotta be a good quote.
And Will, he played in a 3-4, so you don't get a lot of, big numbers playing in a 3-4 on the defensive line.
Well, and he was miscast in a 3-4. I mean, his best seasons in Cleveland, he actually got a pretty decently sized contract from the Browns several years ago. His best years came when the Browns ran a 4-3. When they switched to a 3-4, his production suffered, and he also played through an injury last year. So he's had a rough couple years in Cleveland. That's why Seattle got him for relatively cheap on a one-year deal. But, we got Michael Bennett for relatively cheap on a one-year deal, and that kind of turned out well for us. So I could honestly see this move being one that pays off a lot more than people thought when we first heard about it.
Yeah, I agree. Dustin, what are your thoughts?
I'd like to know more about what Will was talking about. Where did he play in that 4-3? What position exactly?
He was a 4-3 defensive tackle. I think they tried him at both nose tackle and defensive end in the 3-4, and it just didn't work quite as well.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know a lot about him. And actually, somebody who I'm curious to hear if we get a chance to talk about it would actually be Heidi. Dennis knows Heidi. She's a big, she's a really big Browns fan. It'd be kind of cool to hear her take on it. I haven't got a chance to talk to her about it. I don't know if you guys have, but
no.
That would be kind of interesting, but
that's good. Heidi, if you're listening, if you're watching, if you're paying attention, please let us know. Maybe we'll hit her up and ask her, see what she thinks.
I'm kind of with Matt on that, where I don't know the guy, I don't know anything about him. So
Nor do I.
I'm just curious. Who? How do you know this Browns fan? Is she just part of the Facebook network or what?
Go ahead, Dustin.
She's actually a Browns fan by marriage. It's not her choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But she pays attention really, really well.
Ouch.
So.
Yeah. But she's a Seahawk. But she's a Seahawk fan.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. There we go. No, I just was wondering, like, because whenever I hear the term, like, someone says a really big Browns fan, I'm like, they exist? Well,
hopefully we can get her on, ask her to join 12th Man Fan Jam Facebook page, and we can see what Heidi thinks of him. So that's it for all the editions. Oh, wait, there was one more that we haven't talked about. I think, let me look through my papers. Another edition, oh yeah, Jimmy Graham.
I'm Jimmy.
Who's Jimmy?
Jimmy Graham was in a trade that sent just absolute shockwaves through the NFL world and our world. I get a text from my friend, the Viking fan, that says Graham is a Seahawk with about 10 exclamation points, and I'm just what? Yeah. And so I jump online, of course, and it's all over Facebook. It's all over the pages. The NFL was absolutely rocked by this. No one saw it coming. Not even Jimmy Graham and Max Unger, apparently, at first saw this coming. Seahawks trade Max Unger and a draft pick, first-round pick for Jimmy Graham, and a fourth, I believe, was it? A fourth?
Yep.
Unbelievable trade. Will, we've had time to digest this amazing deal. What are your thoughts?
Well, I've said a couple times this week that I may have misjudged Graham just based off of the infamous "I'm Jimmy" incident before the divisional playoff game last year. I watched the ESPN feature on all the stuff he went through growing up, which is heartbreaking.
Yes,
he said all the right things in the conference call. It sounded really excited to be a Seahawk. My first reaction was like everybody else. It's like, what? Never saw that coming in a million years. But you want to know what Jimmy Graham can do for this offense. Rewatch the Hawks-Cardinals game in Arizona last December when Luke Wilson went off and really got that game going and really won it for us, to be perfectly honest. That's what Jimmy Graham can do for this offense. I'm excited to see it.
I am too, and I will tell you what I do for a paying job. Of course, we do this for free, but my paying gig is a teacher of an alternative school or schools, and everywhere I've gone, I have shown that video of his life because those kids are a lot like him growing up. We're beaten up, or we're parents don't care about them. It's just a really, really amazing story on two levels. It's an amazing story on his level for what he went through, and also his adopted mother, who didn't have anything but took him in because she said, I can't let him freeze to death. And, she didn't have anything either, but like Jimmy said, they had love, and that's where he learned a family was. So I share that story a lot. Mark, as on the field, what kind of guy are we getting here?
Well, excuse me. I mean, he's a big talent. I was, again, before the show started, I was mentioned to the other guys that I'm hoping, and he sounds, I guess, I haven't heard any of his comments or, a press conference or anything. I'm just hoping that he's just really dialed in and he knows. To me, he's almost kind of like the guy that has to be sat down and told, look, you're a huge part of this offense and this team, but, your numbers may be different than when Drew 5,000 yard a season Breeze, throwing to you. I mean, this is a different offense. I'm just hoping that he really just buys in with the team, and if he ends up with 40 or 50 catches and only quote unquote 7 TDs or something, that he's cool with that. So I like it. I understand. We weren't going to get as good a value at 31 in the first round anyway in the draft, and Unger misses half a year anyway. So I don't have a problem with the trade that way, but I'm really hoping this guy is dialed in and buys in with the team. I mean, he's going to have to, because the locker room is strong, and they're not going to, they won't stand for anything less. But it sounds like he's already heading there, and But I mean, we need something, and when he's on and when he's focused, I mean, he's an awesome tight end.
Yeah, Dustin, I think he did say in his press conference, 30 catches or 100, 1 touchdown or 10. I want wins. I want a championship. Do you think that he's bought in, or do you think he's just giving lip service?
No, actually, what I think is the thing that mostly impressed me with him was his thought process and the way that worked out. All right, so I'm an X-ray tech. I train X-ray students, and one of the first things I tell them when I train them is that there's a difference. I kind of relate to sports because that's kind of what I do. There's a difference between bench warmers and all-stars. The all-stars do the little things to improve and get better. The thought process is the difference between the bench warmers and the all-stars. Jimmy Graham, when I heard those interviews, I thought his thought process, spot on. He said when he got called in and was told he was being traded, the first thing he thought was salary cap. He's like, I'm going to this team, I'm going to that team, I'm going to this team.
Right.
When they said it was the Seahawks, he was like, I'm going to the best team in football. That's amazing. So I think at that point, when he found out where he was going, he bought in. And he's a guy that has the size and the talent and the work ethic. It sounds like, based on everything I've heard from the reporters in the area, to where he's going to fit in here just fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's 6'7".
Yep.
Which Russell Wilson is going to be able to throw that guy in the red zone all day long. And Russell's our red zone efficiency last year was not good.
Right.
But this year I have a feeling it's going to be a whole lot better, just based on, like I said, his thought process, what he wanted to do, what Russell wants to do. Seems like they have a similar work ethic. That's going to sink. That's going to be a huge thing for the team. And like Will was saying, Jimmy's said everything right so far. And he's, dude, I'm excited. I was not a fan of this trade when it happened. First thing I saw when it happened, I was like, why? He doesn't get along with the team. He's kind of a prima donna because of the I'm Jimmy thing. But in hearing what he said, I had to kind of revise my statement, revise my thought process. And then one other thing about that I think that I'm kind of revising a little bit. The Hawks are keeping 3 tight ends already. They got Helfet, they got McCoy, and they got Wilson. I'm kind of wondering if the Seahawks are looking at Jimmy Graham as a tight end, or if they're looking at him as more of a receiver. Because he does line up on the outside and does other things quite a bit. So I'm excited, and I just want to see how this plays out, in all honesty.
Yeah, I think he'll be flanked out quite a bit. If you think about Matthews at 6'5", if he works out, if what we saw in the Super Bowl is just his coming out party, and he winds up being something that we can use, you got Matthews at 6'5", you got Wilson at 6'5", and then you've got 6'7" Graham. That's pretty impressive, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I was the same as everybody else. When this trade came out on March the 10th, and I got it on Twitter, and I saw a retweet that came up that said that Jimmy Graham had signed for us, and I actually dismissed it immediately and said this is another one of those, it's just crap, because it's just not going to happen. And then it came up on the Seahawks Twitter feed came up as well, and I was like, holy shit. That was like a, I need to log on right now and find out what on earth is going on. This is huge for me. I've obviously been quite critical of the tight ends previously and all this sort of stuff, but what I think, and it depends how they use them. Like I hadn't really thought of what Dustin's just said, but he's absolutely right. They don't have to use him as a tight end. And indeed, Jimmy didn't want to be a tight end; he wanted to be paid as a receiver because he was doing He was doing more of a receiver's job anyway in New Orleans, but. If he is going to be used as a tight end, that's a hell of a plug-in to that unit of very young, players that we've got there at tight end. Zach Miller's obviously gone. Tony Miraki's gone. That puts a veteran person, a Pro Bowler in there to try and lead that unit forward. But equally, if they put him as a receiver, that might upset Doug Baldwin a wee bit, which is always upset, so that's fine. But it's angry.
No, he's angry. He's angry.
He's angry, of course. But it's a hell of a target. And that's all I kept thinking about was that you wouldn't get a 1 yard slant play, Lockett fall over in the end zone with a 6'7", with 6'7" Jimmy Graham over there.
Definitely not.
That's not going to happen again. I just think that this trade is one of those ones which it was almost as shocking as the Percy Harvin trade. The Percy Harvin trade did blow me away a little bit, mainly because of the size of the trade. But this one, because it was only it is Unger, and I am sad to see Unger go, and I think that does call questions on our offensive line, and of course we need to fill that hole. But actually, I wasn't overly upset about that trade, about the size of that trade. It seemed a pretty good deal to me. And I know there were worries in New Orleans as well about whether or not he would be able to stay in the way he was being played in New Orleans, or whether he would be able to stay healthy because of the way in which he was being played over there. And maybe with beast mode, who the hell are you gonna cover as a defensive coach now? I mean, it's another one of those Percy Harvin modes, I suppose. Who are you gonna cover? You're gonna cover Wilson. You're gonna cover beast mode. You're gonna cover Graham. You're gonna cover Wilson. Who are you gonna cover?
Yeah, and
that's why I kind of want to go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So to come to caveat what I was saying, Pete Carroll has always had this infatuation with a large receiver, right? We tried to get Mike Williams. I mean, we had Mike Williams, but he kind of faded out. The Brandon Marshall originally, when he was leaving Denver, they tried to get Brandon Marshall. They tried to get who was the dude from the Chargers that left?
Vincent Jackson.
Vincent Jackson. They tried to get him. Jimmy Graham is similar to their molds as a wide receiver. So I kind of feel like these guys are going to take Jimmy Graham. I kind of feel like they're going to push him out. Probably. And I know Matt was saying that Doug might get a little mad, but Doug is still going to be on the field when it counts, and he'll probably be in the slot. So Jimmy Graham, I feel like Jimmy Graham is a wide receiver they've been looking for this entire time, but they've never found a dude that fit the model and could stick. Go ahead.
I think it's opposite. I think what they're going to do, and when we got Carroll, something he loved to do at USC was play 2 or 3 tight ends at a time. I think that Jimmy will be in the slot. I think we will have out on the field 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, if you include Jimmy and say Wilson or Jimmy or whoever, and then maybe a single back. And then we can, with formations, you bring Jimmy in, you take him out, you flank him, we have 3 wide, or you bring him in and we have double tight ends. I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to keep him inside and use him as a slot. That's just my thought. I don't know, but that's what I'm guessing.
It's going to be interesting to watch and see how it plays out, man. They have it's unlimited right now what they can do with that dude.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people have drawn comparisons with Percy Harvin trade for obvious reasons. It's a big name player. It's a big trade. It's a first-round pick being given up. The thing with Harvin is we had to reshape our whole playbook to take advantage of his talents. We had to, jet sweeps. You had to do the bubble screens. You had to go side to side more often.
They had to leave their identity.
With Graham, you can just plug him into largely the kind of playbook we have right now, and he can excel in that. So that I think, other than the fact that Graham has never been a problem in the locker room, and you don't have that issue, but as far as on the field, I think that's the biggest difference.
Well, absolutely. And just picture this, playing to Dennis's point, if Jimmy is lined up in the slot, say on the right side, he runs a slant, Hawks run one of the options with Marshawn, and Wilson. So Jimmy is automatically going to grab the safety's attention, pull him over, maybe a linebacker too, and then that opens up the whole side of the field that Jimmy was originally lined up on and that they're trying to do the option to. I mean, it's only going to benefit everybody on the team. I mean, there's so many X's and O's things that this benefits. It is freaking amazing.
And Jimmy said that at his press conference. I see they do a lot of cover zero with you guys because of the read option. Well, that's going to play right in his lap. Absolutely. Play cover zero with Jimmy Graham or hold the safety back with Marshawn Lynch. You're going to have to pick one poison, and neither one of them you're going to want. And that's going to, it's pretty mind-boggling. Yep,
and that's going to put the emphasis on the quarterback to recognize what's happening.
Yep.
Our guy's kind of good at that.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that. And that one final note before we go to break. Well, before we go to break, let's bring this up real quick. At the time of recording, the day we record, real quick, guys, there was a message that Russell Wilson's deal is very, very close to being done. Real quick, your thoughts on finally getting Russell Wilson this huge contract. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Well, firstly, I've got to give props to the young lad because he's allowing them to make the trades they need to make to fill holes. Now that he's allowing, I just feel like it's like he's saying, "You go and do what you need to do, and then we'll sort out what I need to have." And I don't know what he's going to do. I'd love him to. I have a feeling though that he's not going to bankrupt. I don't know. It doesn't feel like that sort of player. Do you know? It doesn't feel like it's going to be one of those trades where we're going to look at this and go, "Oh my goodness, that's just a killer deal." They've said it's going to be unique. They said it's going to be, almost like a first time ever type of deal. Maybe all the money's going to be guaranteed. I don't know. Whatever it is, I feel like he's said, I would have expected him to be done first. It hasn't happened. He's almost stood back and said, you go and get the pieces you want to go and get now and during free agency. Don't worry about me. I ain't going anywhere. You go and do what you need to do. You focus on getting those pieces, and at the end of all of this, you come and speak to me, and we'll see what we can come arrangement. I don't care what we pay him. Just pay the man. We need him. He does what we need him to do. He's a fantastic quarterback. I pay him. Pay him everything you want to. I don't care.
Pay the man, Mark.
Absolutely, and that was spot on by Matt. What he just said. I mean, if the rumors about I've read something about it is going to be all guaranteed, and that I guess obviously he gets guaranteed money. It's not like this augmented contract where he's getting 158 million, but only this amount's guaranteed and all this and that. I guess a lot of it's going to be guaranteed, but it'll be team friendly still. And, just like Matt said as well, I mean, whatever he gets, he deserves. I mean, he won a Super Bowl in year 2. We were there last year. We have a very good chance of being there year 3. And I think we're all going to be reminded of what a team guy, what a class person Russell Wilson is when we hear the details here shortcoming.
Totally agree. Will, your thoughts real quick on the deal?
Really looking forward to seeing the details of this contract. I mean, we've heard so much about how it's going to be unique, how different it's going to be, all the bells and whistles. I'm just really interested to see what this team has come up with and what Wilson and his agent have agreed to.
I agree. Dustin, final thoughts on Mr. Russell Wilson?
I'm kind of a hybrid between everybody, really. I'm interested to see what happens. I'm pro guaranteed deal because I feel like that's going to put less towards the salary cap every year, which helps us to have a good team. And I feel like that Russell's the type of guy that is only interested in having a good team. The money's great and all that. He's a personable dude. He's going to have endorsements. Yeah. His financial stability does not depend on his NFL contract. So I'm very, very curious to see how this whole thing plays out.
Yeah, and that's nice to say, and you're right. But at the same time, I feel like he deserves to be one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. If anybody does, this guy deserves it. And it'd be nice. Gee, could you take $5 or $10 million off of what you really should be paid? And that would be great. But at the same time, part of me says he deserves to get paid like an elite quarterback, and I'm okay if they break the bank a little bit for him. But I know what you're saying. We want to keep that money for other players. But I'm all right with it. Pay this guy. Just get it over with and pay the guy. And, let's not worry about him ever leaving this team. Give him a 12-year deal. I don't care. Just make it happen. And on that note, we'll take a quick break here. It's the end of the third quarter.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
We will come back to the fourth quarter, talk about the NFC West as a whole, and talk about the Rams and the Cardinals and the 49ers real quick, and how the landscape of the NFC West has changed a bit. Right back after this brief break.
Well,
and now it's time for a 12th Man Fan Jam 60-second rant.
You make me wanna
rant.
I don't want to get off on a rant here.
There have been 23 proposals for rule changes, and a lot of them seem like a waste of time to even bring up to the league. The Colts proposal for what is essentially a 9-point play, that has zero chance of ever passing. Then one suggestion that makes sense doesn't sound like it will get the support to actually pass. The Patriots suggested that fixed cameras be installed on the sidelines, end lines, and goal lines. That would ensure boundary replays have a clear angle with a head-on visual reference. Believe it or not, the NFL does not currently have that. The one rule that seems like an easy decision pass that actually makes sense will be ignored, like a run play on the 1 yard line. But hey, my football life isn't all bad, and at least the Hawks didn't sign Hardy.
And now it's time for the fourth quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to lead us through the final quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Welcome back to the fourth and final quarter of a very special episode 303 March Madness 2015 edition of your 12th Man Fan Jam show. I am your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church Seahawk Positivity with my posse, Matt, Dustin, Mark, and Will. And we're going to take a real quick look here at the NFC West and how the landscape of our division has changed with free agency. And we'll start with Will. Will, you look at what the Rams did in free agency. They definitely got a little better on defense, and then they took their quarterbacks and they switched with the Eagles. What are your thoughts on the Rams?
Well, that trade with Philadelphia was possibly even more shocking than Seattle's trade with New Orleans.
True.
Just because, I mean, it makes sense for the Rams in retrospect. I mean, they get a pretty good draft pick out of it. They get a halfway decent quarterbacks. Probably not as talented as Bradford, but doesn't get hurt every 5 seconds either, and is not being paid Bradford's salary. So it makes sense for them that they would unload that and maybe get a guy they can count on a little bit more. Getting Nick Fairley from the Lions, I mean, talk about the rich getting richer on that defensive line. Wow. They're going to have a seriously good defensive line rotation if Fairley can shake out there. I think it's going to help him not being one of the lead dogs like he was in Detroit with Ndamukong Suh. The Rams, for a while now, I've thought if they could just get it going on offense, they're going to be a truly dangerous team. Can Nick Foles do it? I don't know, but they're going to be better than they have been the last couple of years when Bradford kept getting hurt on them.
You know, it's funny because they had a press conference and they announced that Nick would be at the press conference, and everyone thought it'd be Nick Foles, and in comes Nick Fairley, and he had lost like 20 pounds. He looks like the draft when he was drafted, which was when he was, an unbelievable stud on a defensive line. He has lost some serious weight because that was always a concern with him, was his weight. I told somebody, they kind of laughed me off, but I said, last 2 years, the team to give the Seahawks 4 good games in the last 2 years have been the Rams. And, they may only win 6, 7, 8 games, but they're going to give us fits every year. And now they've got an outstanding defensive line. It was time to get rid of Bradford. My nephew's a Rams fan, and I told him, if I was a Rams fan, last year would have been my last year for Bradford. And I think the change will do both those quarterbacks good. I don't think Foles is going to be successful in Philadelphia. I think the change is going to help him, and I think the change is going to help Bradford as well. I think it was time for him to move on. I think the Rams and Bradford that ship had sailed. It was Meyer and the Seahawks. It was time to move on from that experiment. And, maybe Bradford will come back to having that year like he had his rookie year, but we'll see for sure. Dustin, the Cardinals, are you concerned at anything they did in free agency? They lost old Darnell Dockett, but other than that?
No.
All right, then. And we're moving on.
Well, Moses,
honestly,
I'll tell you one thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'll tell you one thing. I'm not as scared of what the Cardinals have done as I am of what the Cardinals may do if they can work a trade with Minnesota for Adrian Peterson.
Right.
Yeah. I would not like that.
No.
I would not like that either. The thing I really, really don't like about the Rams defensive line is what the Seahawks have done on the offensive line. That's my problem.
Yeah, I get that. I can see that. I can definitely see that. Matt, Rams, Cardinals, who do you think made the biggest strides in free agency? With the draft around the corner, of course.
Well, I think you have to say that the Rams are making the bigger changes. I mean, I think the Cardinals are doing what the Cardinals always do, which is, pick up what they need here and there. I don't know. I mean, if you look at the odds, I always look at the odds to see what the betters. If you want a good idea of how well a team is doing in terms of its free agency moves and its draft moves, is to look at its Super Bowl odds to a point. Now, obviously, we are still the favourites to win the Super Bowl this year at 6-1. The next is Arizona at 25-1, and then San Francisco 49ers at 33-1, and St. Louis Rams at 40-1. So if you listen to the bookmakers, we have nothing to fear from any of these three teams, and I think we all knew that anyway. But I do agree that our offensive line is where we need to now put a bit of effort. Because these defense, I mean, the fact that I don't know how many first-round picks the Rams had over the last 3 years, because they had the whole Washington. What's the dude in Washington they traded up for?
Robert.
That's the dude. They had more first-round picks and more defense than anyone else has ever had forever. To continue to add to that and I agree with Dustin. I was like, oh, really? Okay. But the change of quarterback, etc. But we need to get our offensive line really, really strong again. And obviously we've had a hit with Unger going and others. But yeah, as far as the odds are concerned, we're 6-1 top favourites of the 32 teams. Nothing to be scared of in these teams. But we know what the Rams are like. We know what their players are like. They beat us. They're the ones that beat us. They're the ones that cause us the most hassle.
Yes.
So. Yeah, but they do. So they do. And more power to their elbow. Will they do that with Foles? I don't know. It's a bit like exchanging crap for manure, but whatever.
Well, now let's turn our attention to our favorite team we like to talk about on this show.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll go to behind enemy lines for this. Of course, our Statsman Mark is just down the road from 49er headquarters, and as we ask him with a little bit of laughter here, we like to make sport of the 49ers. Mark, how has the off season gone for your neighbors down the street in 49er land?
Oh man, I mean, where to begin with this team? I mean, you could not, if you're the San Francisco 49ers, you would have to do some serious homework, which I'm known not to do. But nonetheless, you'd have to do some serious homework to find a team that has just had a colossal losses the way this franchise had, between the coaching, the changeover there, and then all these guys are gone. I just saw that Chris Culliver and Parrish Cox, their starting cornerbacks from last season, are gone too, and that didn't really, I don't know. I mean, their heads are, it's just, they're swimming right now. I mean, it's just, this is a franchise that's really going to be lucky to have, the over-under on their wins is going to be 7 or 8 tops. I just, it's a joke. And, people here, I'm the only one, laughing with tears in my eyes as I drive around town. And the rest of these people are pissed, and rightfully so. Let me quickly add, as far as the other two teams, the Rams defensive line, great, but they also lost 2 offensive linemen of their own. And true. I think that Nick Foles is it's almost like he and Bradford are going to be shaking hands as they switch teams, and he's looking at Bradford with like a broken arm and 2 black eyes, and it's like, good luck, kid, because I think he's going to get pounded in St. Louis. And the Cardinals simply need a quarterback. That is number one, and they can't trust Palmer to get healthy.
I agree. Real quick, Will, the losses for the 49ers, the notable losses. Of course, the Chris Borland retirement. Their 2 defensive backs, Parrish Cox, Chris Culliver, Frank Gore, running back, of course, Mike Iupati, the starting guard, Stevie Johnson was cut, wide receiver, Dan Scuda, linebacker, and of course the amazing Patrick Willis. Willis and Gore, I always said if I was ever going to buy a 49er jersey, which my skin would rash if it was on my body, but the 2 numbers I would get would be either Frank Gore or Patrick Willis, and they both left, Will. What's left?
Well, if you want a visual representation of the 49ers offseason, all you have to do is take a Molotov cocktail and toss it into your nearest dumpster. It is That franchise, I have never seen a franchise have a worse offseason.
How's that for red and gold?
One of their reserve linebackers, I think, hurt his knee in an in a workout, so he may be out too. I'm blanking on the name right now. But yeah, you look at all the players they lost. They lost Jim Harbaugh, who, hate the guy all you want. He was a good coach.
He wins.
Got a guy who's never been a head coach in his life except for one game. You take all of this into account, and yeah, I mean, they lost all those guys, and who knows if Navarro Bowman will be able to come back. I mean, that gruesome knee injury he suffered over a year ago, who knows if he's ready yet.
Will, that's Chase Thomas. Linebacker Chase Thomas hurt his knee in a workout.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Dustin, your thoughts on the 49ers and their offseason?
Awesome.
Excellent. Well done.
You know what, to be honest with you, it is so, I mean, I work with a dude who's a 49ers fan, and we talk about this quite a bit, and I actually feel bad for him. I mean, there's a rivalry, or there should be.
There was.
Yeah, there was. And you never, I mean, you don't want to see them get better, but at a certain point, you start feeling sad for them. And we're at that point where this is, man, that whole thing is done. I mean, Harbaugh's gone. I think Borland was kind of the nail in the coffin. And
I'm okay with them. By the way, I'm not feeling pity for them. I'm okay with them falling apart. But go ahead.
I'm just saying, but Borland, you can't hate on that decision based on he was a really thoughtful decision in his explanation. You're like, I get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing that cracks me up is where people are talking about how awesome their offense is going to be with Torrey Smith and Colin Kaepernick and Vernon Davis, and that thing makes me laugh. But God, it just...
another thing you can add here too, LaMichael James, one of their key running backs, he signed with the Dolphins today. So even LaMichael James isn't there anymore. And Hyde's a good runner.
Everybody bailed.
Yeah.
And did you guys watch the press conference with their new head coach?
No.
Yeah, it was entertaining.
My God. Have you watched Napoleon Dynamite?
God.
Because it's kind of like Napoleon Dynamite's the head coach.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. It is so funny. I mean, yeah, you just have to watch it.
We'll have to do that. Matt? Hey, Matt, what are your thoughts on the 49ers?
Well, we've got a saying over here, a change is as good as a rest. That's one of the old sayings. But my goodness, there's only so much you can change in a team. You may as well just change its name. I mean, it's got a different stadium, different coach, different... it's the whole thing is just like it's imploding in on itself. And you can just feel that there's a lack of confidence, I think, is the real thing from players. They're like, actually, do you know what? $2 million to play on this team next year just ain't worth it. I'm just not even going to bother. It's really difficult. The one that got me was Parrish Cox, because he was there. Was he not there leading at the seat? Did he not do most interceptions for them? Was he not hit their leading?
He had an outstanding year, yes.
Yeah. And they allowed him to. Where did he go? The Titans, I think, if memory serves.
I
mean, how on earth did you let a player who leads your interceptions just disappear? I mean, I don't know what Tom Sula. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those situations where I can. Like the worst ever Jim Mora moment has just been amplified 50 times.
Jim Mora's kind of apropos, because how do you let your best coach in 20 years leave? That's just kind of what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, you know what this reminds me of? I don't know if you guys are NBA fans at all, but in the 1990s, you had the Chicago Bulls. Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Cross, I think was his name. The two Jerrys dismantled the Bulls because they were too good for football or whatever. I mean, for basketball. The way they ran the team was so dysfunctional that everybody left. Jordan retired, people left, and they're left with this franchise with an amazing history. and a great reputation, but they put crap there.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's the 49ers at this point. They're the late 1990s Chicago Bulls. I think the GM and the owner think they're too smart for their own good, to be honest with you.
I would. That's where I come in, because for me, that was what I was going to say. Is that this feels more like a sort of burn everything type mentality.
It is
from Jed York. It feels like to me that he wants some sort of brand new Phoenix from the fire type of team to, a new. All the history is not his history. Do you know the Five Rings isn't his history. It's nothing to do with him. He doesn't want anything to do with it. It's old San Francisco 49ers. He wants to, even if I think if he could rename them the Santa Clara whatever, he probably would. He wants a new start, and I'm wondering how much he's looking at people like Jerry Jones thinking, I want to be that sort of owner. I want to be the sort of owner that makes the decisions, that controls things. And, whether it be going onto Twitter to tell people to apologise for an embarrassing game, as he called it, whether it be, throwing your own coaches under buses, he's doing it. So this is, for me, this is a Jed York-led change, and it's one of those things like, you either with us or we don't care. And I don't care if you are our leading player with interceptions, and I don't care if you are our leading running back. I don't care, you're out.
Winning it by itself is just not enough. He's got to do it his way. He's got to be responsible for it. It's got to be all him. And he's going to drive that team into the ground.
And everything that you guys just said makes me so glad we have the owner we do.
Absolutely.
Because we had a head coach that threw a frickin' kicker under the bus for losing games. What happened to that head coach? He got fired. We brought in Pete Carroll, and now look where we're at.
Exactly.
Man, at an organizational level, the 49ers are in peril.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's fun, but but not. You know what I mean?
The thing is,
for me, it's fun.
We've been there. We've had owners that want to take our teams away from us, even. So, if you're I have to say, if you're a San Francisco 49ers fan now, you are in a dark place. You're in a dark place. You want to be wary. You've got to keep your eyes open, and you've got to be able to exert pressure upon your team, because if you don't, Jed York will take your team, and you will not recognize it by the time he's finished with it.
Absolutely. Final words, Mark, since you're down there, the feel on talk radio and the feel down there. What is the temperature of the 49er Nation?
Well, it's getting very cold. They're just hearing everybody else's comments is just reminding me more and more how far down they've really fallen. Kaepernick, this is a make or break year for him. I have a feeling he's going to be gone as well. I mean, they may as well just I don't know. I mean, it does feel like everyone's either abandoning ship or they're being they're just being booted or something. But York, the prevailing, the biggest thing around here, and you guys have touched on it already, is that coaches that could have gotten big promotions by coming here to be coordinators turned down the openings here. They had trouble bringing people in, and then they turn around and say, well, we wanted these guys all along. And it's a bunch of, it's company line BS. This franchise has fallen apart. York and Balky are a tandem that nobody wants to work for unless they're, already on the staff, like Tom Sula and Christ. And I mean, oh my God, just that trio. Mangini. I mean, are you kidding me? It's just it's a joke, and I'm it is funny to live here and to see this happen. And I just I don't know if it makes it easier for us to win a division. I'm all for it.
I'm for it too. Well, I think we have had a lot of fun making fun of the 49ers and talking about the free agency frenzy that happened a couple weeks ago, and I think it's time to kind of bring this wonderful and amazing 12th Man Fan Jam show to a sad close. We are so glad that you decided to waste some time with us on this show. It was, as usual, a show that raised the bar here at the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. We certainly hope you laughed a little, and maybe, just maybe, you learned a little something along the way. And what did we learn in this show? Well, we learned that Moses' mouth is already on spring break. We learned that you should never call a show or a bar man cave. We learned the NFL is testing for pot on 420. And we learned the posse wants to get Pete Carroll high. And finally, we learned that the 49ers are a dumpster fire. So, on behalf of my partner in crime from Merry Old England, Matt, Statsman Mark, our newshound, Shadowhawk Will, and Dustin as the Beaver, this is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity saying, enjoy the rest of free agency and go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks, man.
Yeah.
I'm the Beaver?